Good afternoon, everybody. My PhD topic is about the application of artificial intelligence in COVID-19 severity prediction. And my name is Márton, Rakovics, and besides being a PhD student here, I'm also a lecturer of statistics at ELTE. And my supervisors are Andrá Harnos and Péter Fehérvári. And my scientific methodology supervisor is Fanny Mezneric, and the two statisticians aiding me are Péter Fehérvári and Tamás Kói. My vision is to make AI an everyday tool in healthcare, and my mission is to sort of get closer to this vision, is to develop AI tools for severity prediction in different diseases. I have two ongoing projects right now. The first one is almost finished. The first one is a meta-analysis about the efficacy of early severity prediction models for COVID-19. And the second project is a registry analysis, which is the development of such a tool. So regarding the first project, some background. You all are very familiar with COVID-19. There have been around 680 million cases around the world so far, with around 6.8 million mortalities. And even though the global pandemic is over, obviously the virus is still with us in different variants. Just recently, a new variant of concern has just popped up, and there are around 2,500 hospitalizations only in the US, with around 15% ICU rate. So it's still very important to find precise early prediction tools to gauge whether somebody will have severe consequences of getting affected. But it's also important from a resource management standpoint. For example, in a developed country in Switzerland, we see that above around 70% of ICU occupancy, survival of the patients decline. So the fundamental question we ask is, which prediction tool out of the many available should healthcare practitioners use, which has the highest performance? And so on a related note, what are the implications, or what could be the implications for development of future tools for other diseases as well? So the patient population we were looking at was COVID-19 positive patients, where we were comparing different tool types, and the outcome was obviously severity as a sort of a binary variable, severe or non-severe. And our hypothesis was that deep learning models outperform other prediction tools. We've searched the main databases, including Cochrane COVID, that simple search key, and ended up with 27,000 studies. And in the end, after selection, we've extracted data from close to 500 studies, so where there were many prediction models developed. And I would like to thank all the collaborators who helped me extract data. We're almost finished with the article, and we aim to publish it in Science Advances. So the first obstacle we needed to tackle was finding the relevant confounders, because obviously these prediction tools were developed in very different circumstances, different time period, different patient population, and it was unclear a priori what relevant confounders were, and we've used this fairly recently developed MetaForest machine learning algorithm to weed out the important control variables we would need to use in our meta-regression. And in the end of the day, we found these 6 or 5 different relevant confounding factors: the region of the patients, the rate of severe cases in that region and in that time period, obviously the tool type, and so which type of, what was the mathematical structure of the tool used, and sample size, and the use of C-reactive protein as an input into the model. If we compare these 3 main types, so the simple linear models, which include clinical scores, and the machine learning models and the deep learning, sort of neural network type models, we see that the latter two outperform the simpler models significantly. And I would say it's relevant, even though we see that there's a difference in AUC of around 0.3. So compared to 0.85, we see 0.89 AUCs. That may not seem to be a huge difference, but if we look at the sensitivity and specificity and positive predictive values of these tool types, we do actually see that it does matter which one we choose. So on the left panel, you see that in the top left corner, there are the neural networks, which are clearly better than the others, and also they have a much higher positive predictive value. So if the model says that, predict that somebody will be a severe case, then they will be such a case with high probability. To illustrate this, I think I've made a hypothetical sort of calculation. It's a very rough calculation, but it shows us that if, in the hypothetical case, if we were to use the best neural network model for every single sort of hospitalization in COVID, we could have reduced the burden on the ICU by half. So instead of 150 million cases, positives, we would have gotten 80 million with the same number of false negatives. So we would have missed the same number of patients either way. So it's clearly, it clearly matters which prediction tools we use. But between simple machine learning or deep learning models, in this case, we didn't really find that big of a difference. So I would say that the strength of this meta-analysis is its unique breadth and depth, and I think it can help guide clinicians to use better tools, and I think it has some important implications for future tool development as well. And one of the limitations is that COVID-19 seems to be an easy problem in the sense that even if we have a lot of input data, these kind of contain sort of, some of these contain the same information. So we see that if we include high-level imaging data, it's just as good as including laboratory data in this specific case. So including both in a model doesn't really elevate its performance. There's also somewhat of a difference in the hospitalization policies in different countries, so that may be something that kind of influences the results, and it's hard to control for. Excuse me. So the second project we're working on is the development of such a severity prediction tool based on the insights from the meta-analysis we've done. I think we can do better than the previous ones, and we're basing this development on two registries, the COVID-19 registry and Biobank and the CoronaApp registry. These combined have around 1,700 cases. Some of those are children with 12,000 biosamples. So I think this is enough data. Another finding from the meta-analysis was that we may think of deep learning models as very data hungry, but this didn't seem to be the case here. So this should be enough for us. And I would like to thank all those who worked on these registries and helped collect the data, because without them we couldn't do this project. And if we look at, well, just some background on deep learning. If we look at the recent review that was published in Nature Medicine, we see that they find that there are two basically areas we can look at where we can improve previous models. One is using semi-supervised models, and the second one is using multimodal data. So that's what we aim to, these two things we aim to incorporate, using the same patient population to develop sort of a GPT-style prediction model, and we aim to have as high performance as possible. This is the outline of the proposed architecture. I can go into this in more detail maybe in the question section or later on. It's fairly complicated, you might see, but the fundamental thing is that we aim to incorporate external knowledge into the model, so not only rely on the sole data we have, but use all previous knowledge gathered, for example, using all of PubMed as external knowledge that the model is trained on. So, okay. So in summary, these are projects. The first one is almost finished, and we're still working on, of course, the second one. And thank you for your attention. Open to questions.
This is great. The second project. So what is the truth? I mean, in terms of that you build in external knowledge, and you said what is in PubMed, but there are many controversial things, and also many of the studies are actually, I mean, are just not true. I mean, many of the information which is available on the web is not true and cannot be redone. And this is one of the biggest problems of science today. I mean, the reproducibility. So what is the filter? Do you have filters, or how you handle that? Especially because, I mean, this large quantity of knowledge.
Yes, that's an excellent question. It is an important thing. So you might have heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. It happens, but we would think it's a bigger problem than it actually is. So again, if you look at, for example, ChatGPT, it's trained basically on the whole of internet, and you would find a lot of crazy things on the internet, but ChatGPT seems to be kind of reasonable. Of course, there's some help. There's reinforcement learning with human feedback, and there's sort of a similar thing is going to happen here. So we start off with this kind of raw model, which may contain not so perfect information, but we'll steer the model with our own data to achieve better results. So in the end, it is going to be better than without that sort of controversial other data.
Thank you, Márton. Congratulations. So during your second project, you are planning to, so with your newly developed prediction model, you're trying to predict more an outcome just for a short term, like on admission, during the hospital stay, or you are trying to develop something for the long run as well. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the question. Well, it's about on admission prediction. So we need, in this specific case, we would like to make prediction as early as possible. We can revise that once more data is available, but we don't focus on that at the beginning.
Well, congratulations, Márton. First of all, I think you should be in our group, right, in the critical care group. And second, I mean, this is amazing what you've shown us here. And my question is, because obviously you didn't have time to dig deep into how did you identify the parameters that you used integrated into your model? I mean, you used severity and physiological parameters, because neither you nor your supervisors are physicians. So that would have been extremely difficult. So what was your strategy?
Okay. Okay. It's a great question, and my answer won't sound very good, I think, because we don't need to have our own input, because all the data tells us which are the important factors. So we won't like override that with our own ideas. And it wouldn't be straightforward to do that. Again, referring to actually in any case, sorry for this tangent, but for example, Tesla moved to a different architecture for their self-driving cars, and now they almost do end-to-end with neural networks. And in that case, they can't really have an input. They can't really tell the car that, okay, if you see a stop sign, do this, or if you see that, do that, because it's all internal in the neural network, and you cannot steer it directly. Sort of, you can nudge it in a sense, but even if we want, this means that even if we wanted to, we cannot directly tell the model, okay, if you see this and this parameter, we know, because we're smarter than you, that it's going to be a severe case. It's just how it works.